51 years ago, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was just a baby, oblivious of Kenya's political intrigues or even his father's position. Now, Kenyatta has grown to become a key political figure and now just a breath away from becoming the country's fourth president.
I therefore declare Uhuru Kenyatta the duly elected president of the Republic of Kenya.
President-elect Uhuru Kenyatta's political journey has been fairly brief, only spanning 16 years now, compared to his fiercest competitor in the just concluded election, Raila Odinga, who has been in politics for over 3 decades. Uhuru started off in politics as KANU's branch chairman of his hometown in Gatundu in 1997, receiving a big nod from the former president Daniel Arap Moi. The same year, a general election was held. Uhuru contested the Gatundu South constituency parliamentary seat but failed miserably. He lost to Moses Mwehia. On losing the election, Uhuru was reportedly extremely dejected that he contemplated quitting politics altogether. But President Moi was apparently still intent on propelling him onto the national political scene. He plucked Kenyatta from private business where he had retreated and appointed him the new chairman of the Kenya Tourism Board, where he worked closely with Nicholas Biwott, who was a confidant of the president for the best part of his 24-year regime. At the time, Uhuru Kenyatta was only 38 years old, but was apparently undergoing even more intensive training. Come October 2001, under unique circumstances, Mark Too, one of the nominated KANU members of parliament then, was prevailed upon to step down in favor of Uhuru. Soon after, without regard for his political inexperience, Moi appointed him to the cabinet as Minister for Local Government. There was more to come for Uhuru. He made it big on the national political scene when he was elected as one of the 4 national vice chairmen of KANU. His arch rival in ballot 2013, Raila Odinga, a seasoned politician even then, having been sidestepped by the president in favor of Uhuru Kenyatta, who was still arguably an infant in politics at the time. President Moi was to pay a heavy price for ensuring Kenyatta became KANU's presidential candidate. Odinga led several other party figures whose ambitions had been thwarted, resigning to set up another party, the Liberal Democratic Party. LDP consequently teamed up with several other parties, including Mwai Kibaki's PNU, to form a formidable force against KANU and its flag bearer. Uhuru Kenyatta was defeated, effectively ending 24 years of a KANU reign. Though beaten in the national election, Kenyatta defeated Nicholas Biwott in the contest for KANU chairmanship in 2005. As the leader of KANU, he was to cross paths again with Raila Odinga during the referendum campaigns against the draft constitution in 2005. KANU teamed up with Odinga's LDP to form the Orange Democratic Movement. This saw Kenyans humiliate the government by rejecting the draft constitution by a huge margin. Poised to take on President Mwai Kibaki again in the 2007 general election as the leader of opposition, Kenyatta did the unthinkable. He withdrew from the December 2007 presidential election and said that he would back Kibaki for re-election. He was to be in the contest to dislodge Kibaki from the State House alongside Raila Odinga of ODM, but after joining Kibaki, Odinga was left alone to square it out with Kibaki with the support of his confidant then, William Ruto, who however fell out with Odinga and is now the deputy president-elect. But the 2007 general election would be seriously disputed, resulting to violence of unprecedented levels across the nation, a situation that eventually led to the birth of a coalition government. After reaching a power-sharing agreement with Odinga, Kibaki named Kenyatta the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Trade in 2008 as part of the Grand Coalition government. He later became the Minister for Finance. But the ghost of International Criminal Court was lurking in the shadows. Uhuru and his running mate William Ruto and 4 others were accused by the ICC of committing crimes against humanity in relation to the violence that was the aftermath of the 2007 elections. Despite that, he clung to his post as Deputy Prime Minister, only resigning as Minister of Finance on confirmation of their charges at The Hague. The ICC ghost essentially brought together Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, who shelved his presidential ambition in favor of Kenyatta. Kenyatta hurriedly dumped KANU to form a new party altogether called the National Alliance, teaming up with Ruto and his URP party to form the Jubilee Coalition. It was the Jubilee Alliance that eventually saw Uhuru Kenyatta through, at least before his rival Raila Odinga went to the Supreme Court to challenge his win. He had been declared winner of the March 4th election after scooping 50.07% of the total votes cast, surpassing the 50% plus one vote by exactly 4,100 votes.
Of the Republic of Kenya.
He was set to be sworn in as Kenya's fourth president, but his journey to State House was temporarily halted by Odinga's petition and that of the African Center for Open Governance, a non-governmental organization. Uhuru Kenyatta has crossed the last hurdle, blocking his way to State House. He will now be sworn in as Kenya's fourth president, 35 years after his father and Kenya's founding president, Jomo Kenyatta, died while in power. Sylvia Chebet, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
can hear clapping.
I can see that the house is full. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, good evening. It's taking a little longer because this is now a different statement. But I have a statement that I'm going to read on the judgment of the Supreme Court, which has just been delivered some minutes ago. You will recall that on 9th of March this year, I issued a statement on the conduct of the election which had just been concluded. I expressed my deep gratitude to all Kenyans who had turned out massively to exercise their democratic rights to vote and elect their leaders. I, however, express my dismay that, contrary to the expectations of Kenyans, we witnessed the failure of virtually every instrument the IEBC had deployed to ensure free, fair, and transparent elections. I outlined such failures with the concrete examples of the anomalies that all of us witnessed. It was clear that the constitutionally sanctioned process of electing new leaders had been thwarted again by another tainted election. Democracy was on trial in Kenya. But that has not dented my commitment to constitutionalism and the rule of law. Enforcing the spirit and letter of the Constitution remains the only sure way to peace and prosperity for our young democracy. My decision to file a petition in the Supreme Court to challenge the validity of the election was a testament of my faith in the independence of our judiciary. We did so for the sake of our democracy and for the sake of all Kenyans who wanted to exercise their constitutional right to elect their leaders through free and fair elections. We were joined in this endeavor by AFRICOG, which separately filed a petition seeking to nullify the 4th of March presidential election. This proves that our petition had nothing to do with personal grudge as contended by the IEBC, the Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, and Honorable William Ruto. In the petition, I express our belief that the court would uphold the letter and spirit of our Constitution. I pledge to abide by the court decision. We prosecuted the case to the best of our ability. Our legal team, led by Senior Counsel George Oraro, compiled a formidable and logical evidence showing that massive malpractices occurred during the election. We unearthed evidence of technology failure that required a full audit, inappropriate conduct on the part of IEBC staff, irregular and unethical arrangements such as the sharing of servers by IEBC with a competitor and unmarked registers. We regret that the court disallowed evidence on the grounds that it was either filed late or the court did not have time to inquire into these discrepancies. In the end, Kenyans lost their right to know what indeed happened. Ladies and gentlemen, the court has now spoken. Article 140 of our Constitution states that the Supreme Court shall hear and determine the petition, and its decision is final. Although we may not agree with some of its findings, and despite all the anomalies we have pointed out, our belief in constitutionalism remains supreme. Casting doubt on the judgment of the court could lead to higher political and economic uncertainty and make it more difficult for our country to move forward. We must soldier on in our resolve to reform our politics and institutions. Respect for the supremacy of the Constitution in resolving disputes between fellow citizens is the surest foundation of our democratic society. And the courts should always act within the evolving constitutional culture. I and my brother and running mate, Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, have no regrets for taking our case to court. Indeed, it is our view that this court process is yet another milestone in our long road towards democracy for which we have fought for so long. Truth, justice, and the faithful implementation of the Constitution is our best guarantee to peace and security. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my hope that the incoming government will have fidelity to our Constitution and implement it to the letter for the betterment of our people. And in this regard, I wish the President-elect, Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, and his team well. I also wish all the senators, members of parliament, women representatives, governors, and others who were elected in the last elections success in discharging the expectations of our people. I want to thank Senior Counsel George Oraro and the members of his legal team for their hard work, and devotion in the quest for justice. I would also like to pay special tribute to the AFRICOG legal team led ably by Kathy Kilonzo for their immense contribution to the rule of law and democracy. To the Kenyans who supported us, in our petition, I want to assure you that I will continue to work for you and with you to build our country, Kenya, and to help you achieve your dreams. Our actions have always been guided by our desire to bring about a better life for all Kenyans, particularly those who are less privileged. The future of Kenya is bright. Let us not allow the elections to divide us. Let us reunite as a nation. Finally, I call on all Kenyans, our supporters and opponents alike, to remember the sacred words of our national anthem: justice be our shield and defender. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you.